time for Wake Up Wednesday. I'm Dr. Angela McKaye, chiropractor and naturopathic physician. We're talking about SIBO this week. A lot of people with SIBO practice intermittent fasting, and you don't have to practice intermittent fasting, but one thing that can be really helpful in getting rid of gut bugs is not just grazing all day. Because if you're grazing all day, you're exposing a source of food to your gut bugs that they can just sort of metabolize all day long, and then you end up with more symptoms. So intermittent fasting can be really helpful because that's a period of fast for the bugs too, where they're not getting any nutrition, and that disrupts their life cycle. So it can be very beneficial. And if you've had SIBO for a while, you've probably noticed that when you wake up in the morning, you feel better. And then by the end of the day, you've got a lot more bloat, a lot more symptoms as the day has gone on, as you've been feeding those gut bugs whatever you've been eating, they've been eating. So I do recommend intermittent fasting to some extent, or at least having 3 solid meals a day that fill you up and not eating or snacking in between. When you're talking about SIBO for breakfast, I did a really quick Google search of SIBO breakfast and got a ton of different things that can be SIBO friendly to start your day out with. So some of those things include overnight oats, which we've talked about before with chia. And I love chia because chia has a slippery quality to it when it's been wet for a while that is very soothing to the GI tract and the gut lining. So that can be a good source of nutrition if you're tolerating the fiber in the oats. Frittatas is another thing. If you're tolerating eggs and sulfur isn't giving you a hard time, so you're able to eat eggs and onions and garlic, that can be a great way to start, especially if you're on a paleo or a ketogenic diet, and you can put lots of different things in there that can be really tasty for breakfast. Same thing with scrambled eggs. And if you're not tolerating eggs, you can try checking to see if it's the egg whites that are problematic or if it's the yolk, and see if that makes a difference for you too with your symptoms. I really love soup in the morning as an option. I've recommended congee in the past, which is like a rice porridge. Oftentimes I'll make that with bone broth, but people with SIBO don't necessarily tolerate bone broth, especially if it's long cooked bone broth, because of those mast cells that we talked about in the prior video. If you are really sensitive to histamine, long cooked bone broth is a high histamine food. So if you're really reactive, then that may not be the thing for you. But if you put things into a soup for the morning that is just basic chicken broth that's not bone broth, that can be lower histamine, and so people tolerate that generally pretty well. Rice, if you're not doing a ketogenic diet and you can tolerate grains, can be a pretty neutral food for people to have in the morning. So in that sense, rice porridge or congee can be really beneficial for people to have something nice and warm and soothing when you wake up in the morning for breakfast to break your fast. All right, I hope you're having a good morning, and I will talk to you soon.